Greetings friends. Thanks for stopping by for a visit. If you enjoy the video, please subscribe.
Alright, I'm typing this from a hospital bed in Flagstaff with a busted wrist, 2 cracked ribs, and a concussion that makes everything feel like it's dipped and static. The nurses keep telling me to rest, but every time I close my eyes I swear I hear something breathing near the curtain. I don't know why I'm posting this here, of all places, except I don't know where else people talk about this kind of thing without laughing. I've been a long-haul trucker for 12 years. I've done night runs through the Rockies, Louisiana swamps, the Dakota plains, and that long dead stretch between Vegas and Reno that feels like the world gave up halfway through paving it. I've dealt with drunks, animals, tweakers trying door handles, drivers who shouldn't have licenses, dust storms, tire blowouts, engine fires, you name it. Nothing has ever rattled me like what happened last weekend on Highway 191. The insurance guy came in earlier and asked me to walk him through the events in order, like this was just another fatigue-related wreck. My boss wants me to sign a statement saying I fell asleep. The doctor said the whispers I'm hearing are post-concussive auditory hallucinations. But here's the thing, I heard the whispers before the wreck. I heard them for almost 12 hours straight. I don't believe in ghosts or demons or any of that. I grew up around Navajo land, but never paid attention to the stories. Cheddar, my buddy who runs the same line a few hours behind me, used to tell me I'd change my tune someday, but I always figured he was messing with me. Truckers do that. Keeps the boredom down. But now Cheddar's not answering his phone. He hasn't replied to a single one of my voicemails. Maybe he's just sleeping off a run. Maybe he shut his phone off. But the silence feels heavy. My memories of the night are all there. I can see everything in sequence. The impact, the tapping, the silhouette outside the sleeper cab, the crying in the truck, the scream right before the wreck. Every part of me wants to chalk it up to exhaustion. But then I remember what I saw in the headlights that first time, what I hit, and the way it whispered my name, like it was testing out the shape of it. I'm writing this because I need anyone who knows these lands to tell me if there's something out there that follows you for miles, changes size, mimics voices, and leaves almost no tracks. Something that doesn't die when you hit it with 40 tons of steel. If this post gets removed or I stop replying, just assume the doctors finally gave me something strong enough to knock me out. Or if I don't wake up tomorrow, I guess the thing in the dark finally stopped whispering and decided to come closer. I just need to know I'm not insane. The first thing I remember clearly, like crystal, is how quiet the road was before everything went wrong. If you've ever driven the Southwest at night, you know that the darkness out there isn't like regular darkness. It's not the soft kind you get back east, where streetlights bleed into the sky and the trees kind of cradle the road. No, the desert at night is hollow. Everything feels eaten down to bone. The sky is black, the earth is black, and your headlights cut through it like you're driving on an abandoned planet. That night, I was coming down 191, maybe an hour north of Ganado. The dash clock creeping past 2 a.m. The air outside was so still it almost felt pressurized. No wind, no bugs popping against the glass, no distant hum of other trucks. Just me, the rumble of the engine, and the CB crackling every now and then with Cheddar humming to whatever garbage country song he had on. I wasn't even tired yet. That's what gets me. Everyone keeps telling me exhaustion made me hallucinate, but I was fresh. I'd taken a long nap at a rest area in Gallup before getting back on the road. I was alert, hydrated, even had coffee that didn't taste like burnt tires. I was fine. And then the road changed. I didn't see movement at first, just a shadow stretching across the pavement, long enough and sharp enough that it made me lift my foot off the accelerator without thinking. You know how your instincts speak before your brain catches up? That's what it was. Something in me knew something was wrong. And then it stepped into the beams. Look, I've seen big coyotes before. Southwestern ones get nasty, scrawny, long-legged, almost wolf-like. But this thing was the size of a damn pony. And I don't mean that metaphorically. Its back came up to the height of my chest. Its legs were too long. Its neck was too long. Its fur looked mangy and thin in some places and too thick in others, like something wearing an animal hide rather than being an animal. I didn't even have time to swerve. It stared right into the headlights, eyes reflecting silver, not yellow, not green, the way normal animals do. Just flat, metallic silver. Then it lurched forward, right into my grill. The impact boomed like hitting a full dumpster. The entire cab jumped. My seatbelt locked so hard it dug into my ribs. Something wet splattered across the windshield, but the wipers just smeared it into streaks. I slammed brakes, tires screaming, my pulse hammering so hard I could feel it in my gums. The truck fishtailed for half a second before I got control and rolled onto the shoulder. Everything went dead quiet again, just the tick of cooling metal. I sat there for a good 30 seconds, hands shaking around the wheel, trying to steady my breathing. I kept telling myself I hit a cow or a mule deer, maybe a horse that got out of a fence. Anything normal, anything with bones that break and bodies that stay where they land. Finally, I got out. The heat hit me first, big desert wave rolling over my face. Then the smell, not rot exactly, something sour, almost metallic, like wet earth and copper. My headlights were still blazing down the highway. I expected to see a body right in the beam. There was nothing. The asphalt was empty. No movement. No limping animal. No dragging trail. Just silence stretching forever. I walked forward, scanning the road. There were bits of fur stuck to the bumper, long, almost gray strands that felt wiry and stiff. Not like coyote fur. Not like anything I'd ever touched. When I bent down to peel a tuft off, it didn't feel right. It felt artificial, like something imitating fur, but getting the texture wrong. That's when I heard the whisper. It came from the brush off the road, soft, breathless, like a woman exhaling words she couldn't quite say. I froze. Every hair on my arms shot straight up. I swung the flashlight toward the sound, expecting to see someone crouched out there. Nothing. Then it came again, closer. Not a word exactly, something like hi, the sound of something trying to breathe language. Hello. I called out before I could think. My voice cracked. I cleared my throat and tried again, louder. Is anyone hurt? I hit something. If you're injured, call out. The whispering stopped. The desert went still again, too still. Even the insects stayed silent, like everything around me was holding its breath. That's when I noticed the tracks in the dust at the roadside. Not paw prints, not hooves. The prints were long, narrow, almost human, but wrong. Toes too pointed, heel too long, as if something had walked upright for the first time and didn't quite know how to distribute its weight. The trail stopped abruptly, like whatever made them stood there for a while, watching me. I backed up slowly until I was pressed against my truck door. My hands fumbled for the handle without looking away from that empty brush. Once inside the cab, I locked the doors out of sheer instinct and grabbed the CB mic. "Chet, are you awake?" I whispered, even though whispering makes no sense on a CB. His voice crackled in after a second. "Yeah, brother. What's going on?" I hit something. Big. Like big. I think it stood up afterward. He paused long enough that I could hear the static shift. "You're still on 191, ain't you?" he asked. "Yeah." Another pause. Longer. "Just keep driving, man. Don't pull over again. That stretch ain't right." I heard whispering. I added quietly. Cheddar didn't respond to that. He just said, "I'm about 40 minutes behind you. Keep moving. I'll catch up." But he never did, and the whispering didn't stop. I didn't stop again until I saw the glow of a truck stop bleeding up from the horizon, one of those older, half-forgotten places sitting like a fossil at the edge of the highway. A couple sodium lights buzzed overhead, painting everything in sickly orange. Only two other rigs were parked there, both dark inside. No movement, no diesel rumble, just the dull hum of the refrigeration units, and the endless desert breathing hot wind across the asphalt. I pulled in, killed the engine, and immediately wished I'd kept going. The place felt empty in a way that wasn't normal empty, like the silence was waiting for something. But I was too tired to think straight, and whatever I hit back there had my adrenaline bottoming out. I didn't want to sit in that darkness any longer than I had to. I climbed into the sleeper, drew the curtain halfway, kicked off my boots, and lay down. My heartbeat was still up in my ears, but exhaustion hit me fast, the kind of fatigue where your muscles feel heavy and hollow at the same time. I closed my eyes. That's when I heard the first tap. Light, fingernail soft, right on the driver's side window. Tap, tap, tap. My eyes snapped open. I held my breath, listening. Another tap, closer this time. More deliberate. Nobody should have been out there. Not at 3 a.m. in the middle of nowhere, not in that heat. I sat up slowly and peeked through the curtain. The cab was dark except for the glow of a dash clock. The lot outside was empty. I told myself the metal was cooling. Trucks make noises when they settle, right? That had to be it. I laid back down. The tapping continued. Now it moved from the driver's side window to the passenger side door, faster, like fingers dragging across glass. Tick, 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 tick. I bolted upright, heart hammering. The curtain swayed a little from motion, and through the crack I saw a shape move, just a flicker, between my truck and the one parked next to me. I held completely still, barely breathing. The tapping stopped. Then came the whisper. Not outside this time, not from the brush or the road, but right along the cab wall. A soft, breathy murmur, like someone pressing their lips against the metal. I pressed my back to the sleeper wall, staring holes through the curtain. Every instinct I had screamed, "Do not move." The whisper shaped itself into something like a word. Almost my name, Cha-R-R-Li, except it got the rhythm wrong. Too many breaths in the wrong places. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to steady myself. The concussion wasn't until later. The doctors can't blame this on that. This was real. I was awake. I was aware. And something outside the truck was trying to talk to me. The whispering stopped suddenly, and I thought maybe it was gone. That's when the silhouette appeared. It stretched across the truck stop concrete, cast by one of those buzzing security lights. Slender. Too slender. The head was wrong, tilt too sharp, like a dog trying to mimic human curiosity. The arms hung low enough that the fingertips brushed its knees. Its torso was narrow, almost concave, like it wasn't built to stand upright. It didn't move like a person. It swayed, tiny shifts of weight, like it was sniffing without lungs. I clamped my hand over my mouth and stayed frozen. Every time the wind moved a curtain somewhere, every time a refrigeration unit kicked on, I flinched. But the silhouette didn't seem bothered by the noise. It just listened. I swear it was listening for me. Minutes dragged by, maybe an hour. Time felt thin and stretched. I kept thinking about grabbing the keys and starting the engine, but to do that I'd have to move the curtain, and I was terrified that the act of acknowledging what I saw would invite it closer. At some point, maybe when the faintest line of dawn began to bleed over the horizon, the silhouette shifted. It didn't walk away so much as it folded backward into the darkness between the trucks, limbs bending in ways they shouldn't bend. Then it was gone. I waited another 15 minutes before pulling the curtain open. The lot was empty again. No figure, no movement. But on the dirt directly below the driver's side window, where the tapping began, there was a single footprint. Long, narrow, almost human, but stretched like someone with toes an inch too long and a heel that didn't know how to touch the ground. And right beside it, pressed into the dirt as if something leaned against the cab, was a handprint. 5 fingers, all of them too thin. I left that truck stop as soon as the sun had fully broken over the horizon. I didn't bother grabbing coffee, didn't bother checking the tires, didn't even look twice at the handprint in the dirt. All I wanted was distance, miles of pavement between me and whatever had been out there whispering my name. For a little while, I actually felt better. The daylight helped. The desert didn't look hollow anymore. It looked like itself again. Wide open, sun-bleached, buzzing with heat. I put on the radio, hummed along to whatever was playing, rolled the windows down just to hear the wind. I kept telling myself, "You're fine now." It was just exhaustion and nerves. Daylight fixes everything. But about 30 minutes later, I heard it. A whisper, so faint I almost convinced myself it was the wind. Except the windows were rolled up, AC on full blast. HHR. I stiffened, eyes on the road, knuckles whitening around the wheel. No, I muttered to myself. No, 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 you are not hearing that. Not in the morning. But the whisper came again, clearer this time. Inside the cab, charily, like something crouched right behind the driver's seat, inches from the back of my head. I whipped around so fast I nearly jerked the wheel, but the sleeper was empty. The curtain swayed a little from emotion, but there was nothing there. My heart was pounding now, throat tight, skin crawling like ants were moving underneath it. I forced myself to look forward again, forced myself to breathe slow and steady. Then something in the passenger side footwell sobbed. Not a grown person, not an animal, a child. A high, warbling cry that rose and felt like it was learning how to mimic emotion. Too sharp, too wet, too close. My whole body locked up. I stared at the road, but my eyes were watering from panic, vision blurring. That cry kept swelling and breaking, like a blown speaker trying to play back a real human sound. "Cheddar, you copy?" I shouted, grabbing the CB mic with shaking hands. "Cheddar, I need you to answer right now." Static. A long stretch of it. Then a voice crackled through the speaker. "Pull over, pull over, pull over." But it wasn't Cheddar's rhythm. The words were right, but the spacing was wrong, like someone had heard him say the phrase once and was stretching each syllable out to test them. I dropped the mic. The cab vibrated suddenly, just a small shake, like when you hit rough pavement. Except the road was smooth, newly paved, perfect. The shake got stronger. Something thumped the inside of the passenger door. I felt the whole truck shudder as another thump hit the back wall of the sleeper, like fists hitting the metal from the inside. But when I ripped the curtain back, nothing was there. Just the sunlight pouring in through the small rear window. "Stop," I yelled, gripping the wheel so hard my hands hurt. "Leave me alone." The crying stopped. For half a second, everything went silent. Then a shadow darted across the road in front of me, upright, long-limbed, moving too fast to be human. I swear it turned its head toward me as it passed. I swear I saw silver eyes flash in the sunlight. Instinct took over. I yanked the wheel hard right. The rig fishtailed immediately, tires screaming. The trailer jerked like something massive had shoved it. I tried to correct, but the steering column rattled violently, vibrating so hard it felt like it was going to wrench itself loose. Something screamed inches from my left ear, loud, shrill, layered, like 5 voices stacked on top of each other trying to imitate a human shriek. My vision went white at the edges. The front tire blew. The cab lurched sideways, metal groaning, windshield spiderwebbing. I remember the sky tilting, the desert whipping past the window, the seatbelt crushing my ribs. Then the world flipped. Once, twice, I don't know how many times. The last thing I remember before everything went black was the whisper again, soft in the wreckage, as the cab finally came to rest on its side. Closer, then nothing.
Thanks for watching. If you want to hear more stories like these, please like and subscribe.